Have you ever noticed how your phone has become the first thing you touch in the morning, even before you fully open your eyes? That small device, sitting on your nightstand, holds more power over your day than you might realize. In those first few seconds after waking, your mind is at its most receptive state, yet instead of choosing where to direct that powerful mental energy, you immediately surrender it to a flood of notifications, messages, and the endless digital noise that's become our modern reality. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Has this ever happened to you? You wake up with good intentions for the day. Perhaps you plan to meditate, to write, to exercise. But before your feet even touch the floor, you've already been pulled into 10 different directions by your device. You check an email here, scroll through social media there, and suddenly an hour has vanished into the digital void. This isn't by accident. The modern world has been carefully engineered to capture and monetize your attention, and every second you spend distracted is a second stolen from your personal growth and evolution. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share with you, drawing from the profound wisdom of Neville Goddard, will transform how you relate to your own consciousness and attention. The truth that few people understand is that when you allow external forces to program your focus, you're essentially handing over the controls to your life's results. Your attention is not just some abstract concept. It's your most valuable currency in a world designed to bankrupt your focus. What you're about to discover might surprise you, because it contradicts much of what society teaches us about success and fulfillment. While the world pushes us to constantly seek outside ourselves for validation, for direction, for meaning, true power emerges when you turn your attention inward. This simple shift from external to internal focus doesn't just change what you think about, it fundamentally transforms the energy you bring to every moment of your life. Imagine for a moment what your life would look like if, instead of being at the mercy of every notification and trending topic, you became the master of your own attention. What if, rather than beginning each day by responding to the world's demands, you first connected with your own intentions and highest aspirations? This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about recognizing that your inner world creates your outer experience. The ancient principle that Goddard so eloquently taught us is more relevant today than ever before. Your focus determines your reality. In a world that profits from your distraction, the ability to direct your attention with purpose and intention isn't just helpful, it's revolutionary. And as we explore this concept more deeply, you'll begin to understand that reclaiming your attention isn't just about productivity. It's about reclaiming your very existence. It's about taking back the reins of your destiny. If you found value in today's message about focusing on yourself, hit that subscribe button and join our community of growth-minded individuals on this journey of self-development. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because what we're really exploring is a profound inner journey, one that few people ever fully commit to. In a world that constantly pushes us to look outward, to compare our behind-the-scenes footage with everyone else's highlight reels, there's an extraordinary revelation waiting for those brave enough to redirect their gaze inward. This inner journey is where the real transformation begins. It's where you learn to stop measuring your worth against others and start building yourself according to your own blueprint. Think about it. How many hours have you spent scrolling through social media, feeling that subtle ache in your chest as you witness the apparent success, beauty, or abundance that others seem to possess? That feeling isn't inspiration. It's something much more insidious. What Goddard understood, perhaps better than anyone, is that comparison is actually a sophisticated form of theft. Every moment you spend comparing yourself to another person, you're literally stealing energy from your own growth. It's a hidden truth that few recognize. Comparison doesn't accelerate your journey. It hijacks it entirely. The mind can only focus effectively on one direction at a time. When that focus is turned outward in comparison, it cannot simultaneously be directed inward toward creation. This is why so many people feel stuck in a perpetual cycle of admiration without achievement, of desire without development. The comparison mindset tricks us into believing we're pursuing excellence when what we're actually chasing is validation. It whispers, "Look how far they've gone," instead of asking, "How far can you go?" It suggests that someone else's timeline somehow invalidates your own unique path, your own sacred journey. Behind the scenes of every overnight success you admire lies years of silent work, countless failures, and moments of doubt that never made it to the highlight reel. The polished final product you see never reveals the messy process that created it. And here's the revelation that changes everything. While you're busy comparing yourself to their results, they might be doing the exact same thing with someone else. This endless game of comparison creates a world where no one feels enough, where everyone is looking elsewhere for the validation that can only truly come from within. The mindset shift that liberates you from this trap is simple but profound. Creation over comparison. When your hands are busy building, whether that's a business, a body of work, or simply building yourself, your mind simply doesn't have the bandwidth for envy. Action is the antidote to comparison because it redirects your focus from consuming to creating, from witnessing to becoming. The impact of this shift extends far beyond productivity. It fundamentally alters your relationship with yourself and with the world around you. Instead of being driven by external validation, you become guided by internal vision. Instead of reacting to the noise of the world, you respond to the quiet whispers of your own potential. If you're resonating with this message so far, write in the comments, "I choose creation over comparison." This simple declaration might just be your first step toward breaking free from the comparison trap that's been holding you back. But there's something even more insidious at work when we fall into the comparison trap. Something that happens at a neurological level that few people recognize. Each time you scroll through someone else's success story, their new achievement, or their polished highlight reel, your brain releases a tiny spark of dopamine. That chemical reaction creates an illusion of progress. It feels like you're moving forward, like you're somehow participating in that success simply by witnessing it. This hidden truth reveals why social media can feel simultaneously satisfying and deeply unfulfilling. The dopamine hit provides a momentary sense of inspiration, but it's a counterfeit version of genuine progress. You're not actually growing, you're just observing growth. And the more time you spend consuming other people's journeys, the less bandwidth you have to create your own. Think about the hours spent scrolling through perfect vacations, business launches, fitness transformations, and artistic achievements. Those hours represent creative energy that could have been channeled into your own transformation. Every minute invested in observation is a minute divested from creation. This revelation isn't meant to induce guilt, but to illuminate the path forward. The mindset shift that changes everything is beautifully simple. You cannot simultaneously be a critic and a creator. These two energies exist in opposition to each other. The critical mind evaluates, judges, and compares. It lives in the realm of what already exists. The creative mind envisions, builds, and materializes. It lives in the realm of what could be. When your hands are busy building, Whether that's writing the first page of your book, taking the first steps in your fitness journey, or making the first sale in your business, your mind simply doesn't have the capacity to engage in comparison. The moment you begin producing, even imperfectly, comparison begins to lose its grip on your consciousness. This is why people who are deeply immersed in creative pursuits often seem so centered, so present, so undisturbed by the noise of the world. Their energy is flowing outward into creation rather than being scattered across countless points of comparison. Their decisions come from an internal compass rather than external consensus. The transformative power of creation extends far beyond whatever you're physically producing. The act of creating, of bringing something into existence that wasn't there before, reshapes your relationship with yourself. It builds confidence through evidence rather than affirmation. It develops resilience through struggle rather than avoidance. It cultivates authenticity through expression rather than impression. Behind the scenes of this journey from comparison to creation is a fundamental shift in how you relate to the world. Instead of asking, "How do I measure up?" you begin asking, "What can I contribute?" Instead of wondering, "Am I good enough?" you begin exploring, "What can I make better?" This shift doesn't happen overnight, but it begins with a single decisive moment, the moment you choose to create rather than compare. If you feel drawn to make this shift in your own life, write in the comments, "I'm ready to create." Your declaration might be the catalyst that sparks a new chapter in your story. What keeps so many talented people feeling stuck in a cycle of frustration isn't a lack of ability or opportunity. It's a fundamental misalignment of attention. When you consistently train your mind to live in other people's narratives rather than authoring your own story, you create a subconscious blueprint for stagnation. This hidden struggle affects millions of people who can't understand why, despite their knowledge and potential, they remain frozen in place. The journey of transformation requires honest reflection about where your mental energy actually lives. Are you spending your precious cognitive resources analyzing someone else's chapter 3 while your own book remains unwritten? Are you obsessively tracking their metrics, their following, their achievements, while your own dreams collect dust in the corner of someday? Behind the scenes of every success story you admire lies a reality that rarely makes it to the highlight reel. The years of silence when no one was listening, the moments of crippling doubt when giving up seemed rational, the countless rejections that preceded the big break. The polished end product you see represents only the tip of a massive iceberg of struggle, persistence, and private growth. Subscribe now to continue receiving these powerful insights that can help transform your mindset and elevate your life. Each video is designed to provide you with practical wisdom you can apply immediately. This revelation carries both challenge and comfort. The challenge is accepting that your path will include similar struggles. The comfort comes in knowing that feeling lost, doubtful, or overwhelmed doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're in the messy middle of your own hero's journey. What's particularly illuminating about studying the mindset of genuine achievers is discovering where they place their attention. No one climbs to the summit of their potential through imitation. You cannot become extraordinary by following someone else's map. The breakthrough comes when you recognize that winners consistently focus inward, creating from their authentic perspective rather than borrowing someone else's lens. Think about the iconic creators, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who've made lasting impacts. Thomas Edison didn't obsess over Tesla's laboratory methods. Henry Ford wasn't preoccupied with horse carriage sales figures. Neville Goddard didn't spend decades comparing his insights to other spiritual teachers. Instead, each cultivated an unwavering focus on their unique vision and built momentum through consistent action. This inward focus isn't about ignoring valuable learning from others. It's about distinguishing between learning and comparison, between inspiration and imitation. One fuels your growth, the other stalls it. One amplifies your unique gifts, the other diminishes them. The mindset shift that creates this transformation isn't complicated, but it requires courage. It means choosing to value your inner compass over external validation. It means trusting that your perspective, your voice, and your contribution matter, not because they're better than someone else's, but because they're authentically yours. Momentum builds not through sporadic bursts of inspiration, but through consistency aligned with your authentic path. Each day, you choose creation over comparison. Each time you take action, despite uncertainty, you strengthen the neural pathways that support your evolution. This journey isn't about perfection, it's about progression on your terms. If this perspective has shifted something within you, write in the comments, "I'm authoring my own story." Your declaration might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to begin their own journey inward. Let me take you on a journey through history for a moment, because there's a profound pattern that emerges when we study the lives of humanity's greatest creators and innovators. While we often see only their breakthroughs and triumphs, the hidden truth behind every extraordinary achievement is a period of intense, private focus that preceded their public success. Consider the transformation that occurred in Thomas Edison's laboratory during the creation of the light bulb. While others were distracted by what competitors were doing, Edison remained singularly focused on his vision. He didn't waste precious mental energy wondering how his workshop compared to Tesla's. Instead, he channeled all his cognitive resources into the problem at hand, working relentlessly until the filament finally glowed. His breakthrough emerged not from outward comparison, but from inward concentration. Or examine Henry Ford's revolutionary mindset when developing his manufacturing process. He wasn't obsessing over how many horses other companies were selling or how their carriages looked. He maintained an unwavering focus on his own vision, a car affordable for the average American, and that clarity of purpose fueled his revolution in manufacturing. Even Neville Goddard himself, before his teachings transformed millions of lives, spent decades in relative obscurity, developing his understanding through deep personal practice rather than by measuring his insights against popular thought leaders of his time. His impact came precisely because he refused to dilute his unique perspective through comparison. This pattern reveals something essential about the creative journey. Genuine innovation and personal growth happen in the quiet spaces where you're focused on your own path, not in the noisy arena of comparison and external validation. The most meaningful breakthroughs emerge when you're willing to temporarily detach from what everyone else is doing and immerse yourself in your own process. Now, 2. Create this kind of transformative focus in your own life requires a decisive recalibration of your environment. Just as you wouldn't expect a garden to flourish in soil filled with toxins, your mind cannot produce its best work in an environment saturated with comparison triggers. This calls for an honest audit of your inputs, the content you consume, the conversations you engage in, the influences you allow into your mental space. Look at your social media feeds, the podcasts you listen to, the people you spend time with, and ask one penetrating question: does this inspire me to build, or does it make me doubt myself? The answer reveals whether that influence is fertilizer or poison for your growth. This isn't about isolation. It's about intention. It's about recognizing that focus is protection. Every influence that triggers envy or steals your peace is actively diminishing your creative capacity. Every notification that pulls your attention away from your core work is a tiny theft of your potential. The fewer distractions you allow, the faster you grow. This environmental audit often requires difficult decisions, unfollowing certain accounts, muting conversations, perhaps even creating distance from relationships that consistently leave you feeling inadequate or drained. These boundaries aren't about judgment. They're about preservation of your most valuable resource, your focused attention. If you're feeling the weight of this revelation, write in the comments, "It's time to audit my environment." Your commitment might be the catalyst for the focus that transforms everything else. Once you've begun to reshape your environment, the next crucial step in your transformation journey is developing a powerful strategy for those moments when comparison still manages to creep in, because it will. Even with the most carefully curated feeds and circles, that pull toward comparison is deeply wired into our psychology. The revolutionary approach isn't to fight this tendency with willpower alone, but to redirect it through immediate action. This redirection strategy works because of a fascinating insight about how our minds operate. The brain cannot simultaneously engage in comparison and creation. These mental processes run on different neural pathways. When you feel that familiar tug of comparison, that subtle ache when seeing someone else's achievement, don't try to rationalize or suppress it. Instead, channel that energy directly into action. Do one push-up, write one paragraph, make one sales call, take one step forward on your own path. This immediate physical redirection creates a pattern interrupt in your brain, shifting your focus from external to internal, from passive to active, from consumption to creation. It's not about the magnitude of the action, but about the mindset shift it triggers. Each time you redirect comparison energy into creative action, you're literally rewiring your brain, strengthening the neural pathways that support productivity, while weakening those that fuel comparison. This isn't just a psychological trick, it's a fundamental recalibration of your mental architecture. The revelation that transforms how you measure your progress comes next. Most people evaluate their success using metrics designed for external validation. How do I appear to others? What do people think of me? How do my achievements stack up against theirs? This external scoreboard creates a life of perpetual insecurity because it places your sense of worth in hands you cannot control. The paradigm shift comes when you develop your own internal metrics of success, measures that reflect who you are when no one is watching. True success isn't found in applause or admiration, but in the quiet moments of self-reflection when you're completely alone with your thoughts. It's in those private moments that you discover your authentic scoreboard, peace, progress, and purpose. Ask yourself, did I honor my word to myself today? Did I move forward, even slightly, on what matters most to me? Did I maintain my center amidst chaos? Did I act in alignment with my deeper values? These questions create a foundation for success that no external validation can provide or take away. This internal metric system doesn't mean you ignore tangible results. Quite the opposite. When you're guided by peace, progress, and purpose rather than validation, comparison, and approval, your external results often multiply because your energy isn't being siphoned away by insecurity. You're operating from a core of authenticity rather than a facade of impression. The freedom that comes from developing your own success metrics is nothing short of liberation. No longer do you rise and fall with every like, comment, or glance. No longer do you measure your worth against someone else's highlight reel. You become the author of your own standards, the arbiter of your own value. If you're ready to develop your own internal metrics of success, write in the comments, "I define my own success." Your declaration might be the first step toward true sovereignty over your life. What makes comparison particularly challenging is its never-ending nature. Even when you finally surpass one benchmark or person you've been measuring yourself against, the ego immediately finds someone new to idolize. There's always someone with more followers, more success, more resources, or more recognition. This perpetual ladder has no top rung. It's designed to keep you climbing forever. without ever reaching a point of satisfaction. The paradigm shift that liberates you from this endless loop isn't about climbing faster or better. It's about stepping off the ladder entirely. When you transition from a competition mindset to a creation mindset, you fundamentally alter your relationship with success. This transformation isn't just about productivity, it's about reclaiming your sovereignty over your own journey. In the competition framework, success is defined as being better than others. In the creation framework, success means becoming better than your previous self. This subtle distinction changes everything, from how you measure progress to how you respond to setbacks. When your benchmark is internal rather than external, your motivation becomes intrinsic rather than reactive. Think about the profound shift that occurs when you wake up asking, "How can I improve upon yesterday's work?" instead of, "How can I outperform everyone else?" The first question energizes and focuses, the second exhausts and scatters. The first builds sustainable momentum, the second creates perpetual anxiety. This revelation doesn't mean you never look at what others are doing or that you ignore the competitive landscape entirely. It means you view others' work through the lens of inspiration rather than comparison, learning rather than measuring. You extract the wisdom without absorbing the pressure. The journey of self-improvement takes on a different quality when you understand that you don't need to prove anything to anyone or rush your timeline to match someone else's. The oak tree doesn't apologize for growing slower than the bamboo. They each have their own natural rhythm of development. Your evolution has its own organic timeline that can't be forced or compressed to match another's schedule. What truly matters is staying faithful to your own process, continuing to create, improve, and show up, especially when no one is watching. The most significant growth often happens in those private moments of consistent effort that never make it to social media. The breakthrough that looks sudden to the outside world is usually the result of hundreds of incremental improvements made in silence. This consistency in private creates a foundation that no amount of public validation can match. When you build this way, steadily, authentically, without rushing for external approval, you develop not just skills, but character. You cultivate not just competence, but confidence. The hidden power in this approach is that it actually attracts more genuine recognition over time. While those frantically seeking validation often appear desperate, those focused on their craft develop a magnetic authenticity that draws others naturally. There's a quiet authority that comes from someone who's been building while others were boasting, creating while others were comparing. If you recognize this pattern in your own journey and are ready to commit to your unique timeline of growth, write in the comments, "I'm building at my own pace." Your acknowledgement might inspire someone else to honor their natural rhythm of development too. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because there's a fundamental truth about success that our culture rarely acknowledges. We live in a world obsessed with external metrics, bank accounts, possessions, status symbols, and social capital. Yet when we look closely at the lives of those who've achieved these outward markers, we discover a startling revelation. External wealth without inner wealth often creates a peculiar kind of poverty. Look around and you'll notice this paradox everywhere. Some individuals have accumulated vast fortunes, yet live in a state of perpetual dissatisfaction, anxious, restless, and unable to find genuine fulfillment despite their material abundance. Meanwhile, others possess relatively little in material terms, yet move through life with a quiet confidence, unmistakable presence, and unshakable peace that no circumstance seems able to disturb. This distinction reveals something profound about the architecture of authentic success. The outward manifestations we typically associate with achievement, the financial prosperity, the recognition, the influence, aren't actually the foundation. They're the structure built upon a foundation. And that foundation is what Goddard and other wisdom teachers have called inner wealth. Inner wealth doesn't begin in your bank account, but in the private chambers of your mind, the patterns of your daily habits, and the equilibrium of your emotional landscape. It's built in moments no one witnesses and decisions no one applauds. This internal ecosystem determines not just what you achieve, but more importantly, what you can sustain. Think about it as a tree. External success represents the visible parts, the trunk, branches, leaves, and fruits. Inner wealth comprises the unseen root system below the surface. A tree might appear impressive above ground, but without strong, deep roots, it cannot withstand the first serious storm. Success follows the same principle. Without inner wealth, external achievements become vulnerable to every shift in circumstance, every challenge, every season of adversity. This foundation of inner wealth consists of specific elements that work together. Mental stability that allows you to remain centered amidst chaos. Self-discipline that enables you to keep promises to yourself. Focused attention that prevents scattering your energy. Resilience that transforms setbacks into setups. And gratitude that keeps you connected to abundance rather than scarcity. When these internal qualities are strong, they create a foundation capable of supporting substantial external achievement. But more importantly, they ensure that whatever you build externally doesn't crush you under its weight. They give you the capacity to actually enjoy your successes rather than being consumed by them. The transformation journey begins when you recognize that before chasing external metrics, you must first strengthen your internal architecture. Before pursuing what you want to have, focus on who you need to become. Before climbing the ladder of success, ensure it's leaning against the right wall. One that leads to fulfillment, not just achievement. If this perspective resonates with you and you're ready to prioritize building your inner wealth, write in the comments, "Roots before fruits." Your declaration might inspire others to invest in their foundation before reaching for the sky. Let me take you deeper into the cornerstone of inner wealth, the foundation beneath the foundation, which begins with something deceptively simple yet profoundly powerful: self-respect. This isn't the superficial self-esteem that comes from external validation. This is something far more fundamental. It's the relationship of trust you build with yourself through consistent action aligned with your word. Think about this revelation for a moment. You cannot expect the world to value you if you consistently break promises to yourself. Each time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," and don't. Each time you commit to a goal and abandon it at the first resistance, you're sending a powerful message to your subconscious mind. My word cannot be trusted. This internal dialogue creates a fracture in your self-relationship that no amount of external success can repair. The transformation journey begins with healing this relationship through small, consistent acts of integrity with yourself. When you say you'll wake up at 5 a.m. to write, and you do it despite every fiber of your being wanting to stay in bed, you deposit trust into your internal account. When you commit to drinking more water, moving your body daily, or spending 30 minutes on your passion project, and you follow through regardless of mood or circumstance, you strengthen your self-relationship. This isn't about perfection, it's about direction. It's about creating a pattern of keeping promises to yourself more often than breaking them. With each fulfilled commitment, no matter how small, you build something invaluable. Genuine confidence based not on wishful thinking, but on evidence. Your mind begins to recognize, "I can rely on myself." This becomes the bedrock upon which all other aspects of inner wealth are built. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the second pillar of inner wealth: emotional mastery. In a world that constantly pulls at our emotions, triggering reactions, provoking responses, and attempting to destabilize our center, the ability to govern your emotional state becomes a superpower. The revelation that changes everything is understanding that emotions themselves are neither good nor bad. They're simply energy, and energy is power. Those rich in spirit recognize that emotional reactions, anger, jealousy, resentment, fear, consume enormous amounts of this power. Each minute spent in emotional reactivity is energy diverted from creation, from growth, from purpose. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or becoming coldly logical. It means developing the consciousness to create space between stimulus and response. When others panic, you breathe. When others lash out, you observe. When others gossip, you redirect. This isn't spiritual bypassing, it's spiritual sovereignty. You feel everything fully, but you don't allow those feelings to dictate your actions. Behind the scenes of every masterful life is this hidden discipline, the ability to respond rather than react, to choose rather than be chosen for, to direct your emotional energy with intention rather than having it hijacked by circumstances. This mastery doesn't happen overnight. It's cultivated through daily practice, through countless moments of catching yourself before the emotional current carries you away. When you develop this capacity to channel your emotional energy rather than waste it, you discover reserves of power you never knew you possessed. Creative solutions emerge more readily, clarity arrives more quickly, intuitive guidance becomes more accessible, all because you're no longer leaking power through unconscious emotional reactions. If you've experienced the quiet strength that comes from this emotional mastery, write in the comments, "I choose my response." Your recognition of this power might illuminate the path for someone still caught in reactivity. The journey of inner wealth takes an even more profound turn when we explore what might be its most elusive treasure, genuine peace of mind. In our turbulent world, we often misunderstand what peace actually is. Many believe peace requires perfect external conditions, a quiet environment, absence of problems, ideal circumstances. But this revelation transforms everything. True peace isn't dependent on external calm, but flourishes as internal tranquility regardless of what's happening around you. This distinction illuminates why some people remain centered during life's storms, while others crumble even in minor disruptions. Peace isn't about controlling your environment, it's about mastering your inner landscape. It's the ability to stand in the center of chaos and maintain your equilibrium, to face uncertainty without being consumed by anxiety, to encounter imperfection and still access gratitude. Think about the most peaceful people you know. Their circumstances aren't necessarily easier than yours. They face the same challenges, disappointments, and unexpected turns that we all do. The difference lies in their internal orientation. They've cultivated the capacity to distinguish between what they can control and what they cannot, focusing their energy on the former while accepting the latter. This inner peace becomes a decision rather than a destination. It's something you choose moment by moment rather than something you achieve once and permanently possess. It's available to you right now, not after your circumstances improve or your problems disappear. This perspective shifts peace from something external you pursue to something internal you practice. Closely connected to this peace is another dimension of inner wealth that amplifies everything else: the capacity to guard your attention with fierce intention. In an age where attention has become the most valuable and exploited resource, the ability to direct and protect your focus is nothing short of revolutionary. The invisible battle occurring every day isn't just for your time or money, it's for your attention. Every notification, headline, and alert is designed to capture this precious resource. The average person unconsciously surrenders their attention hundreds of times daily, starting many initiatives but completing few, constantly switching between tasks while mastering none. Those rich in spirit approach attention differently. They guard it like the gold it truly is. They understand that whatever you consistently focus on expands in your life. Focus on problems and problems multiply. Focus on possibilities and possibilities unfold. Focus on gratitude and reasons for gratitude appear everywhere. Your attention is quite literally creating your experience. The transformation begins when you reclaim sovereignty over your focus through conscious cultivation. Instead of allowing your attention to be pulled in countless directions, you deliberately direct it toward what matters most. Instead of starting 10 different projects, you channel your energy into one significant endeavor until it flourishes. This concentrated power generates momentum that scattered focus never could. If you've experienced the profound difference that comes from guarding your attention and cultivating inner peace, write in the comments, "I protect my inner wealth." Your acknowledgement of this practice might illuminate the path for someone just beginning to discover the power of their internal resources. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring perhaps the most overlooked dimension of inner wealth, spiritual health. This isn't about religious dogma or prescribed rituals, though those may be valuable paths for many. This is about something more fundamental, your connection to purpose, to conscience, and to something greater than your ego. It's the recognition that behind the daily grind of tasks and goals lies a deeper current of meaning and guidance. The revelation that transforms ordinary achievement into extraordinary fulfillment is this: you are not just grinding, you are guided. When you attune to this deeper dimension, you stop forcing outcomes through sheer willpower and start flowing toward them through alignment. You move from exhausting push energy to magnetic pull energy. This shift doesn't make the work easier, but it makes it more meaningful, infusing everyday actions with purpose beyond mere accomplishment. This spiritual dimension provides a profound compass during life's inevitable storms. When external markers of success fluctuate, as they always will, this connection to something larger than yourself creates stability. It reminds you that your worth isn't measured by your achievements, but by your alignment with your highest values and deepest truths. Cultivating this spiritual health happens in quiet moments of reflection, in conscious connection with nature, in acts of genuine service, and in the courageous exploration of life's deeper questions. It develops when you regularly step back from the noise of productivity and achievement to ask, why am I doing this? What am I really building here? How does this serve my highest purpose? The integration of spiritual health with the other dimensions of inner wealth creates something extraordinary, a foundation so solid that external circumstances lose their power to define your experience. And this brings us to perhaps the most important revelation about wealth in all its forms: external wealth without internal. Strength isn't a blessing, it's a burden. Look closely at those who acquire external wealth, money, fame, power, without developing internal wealth first. What appears as success often becomes a magnifying glass for every unfixed flaw, every unhealed wound, every unresolved pattern. Money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies who you already are. If you're insecure without money, you'll be insecure with money, just with higher stakes. If you're unfulfilled without achievement, you'll be unfulfilled with achievement, just with greater confusion about why. This is why we see so many cautionary tales of wealthy but miserable individuals. External abundance without internal equilibrium creates a particularly painful form of poverty. Having everything yet feeling empty, achieving everything yet sensing something essential is missing. The mansion becomes a gilded cage, the achievement becomes a hollow shell, the recognition becomes insufficient validation. True wealth, lasting wealth, meaningful wealth always builds from the inside out. When you develop self-trust, emotional mastery, mental focus, inner peace, and spiritual connection first, any external prosperity that follows becomes an extension of your inner abundance rather than a compensation for inner lack. You can enjoy it without being defined by it. You can share it without fear of losing it. You can leverage it for impact without being attached to outcomes. If this perspective on spiritual wealth and true prosperity resonates with your experience, write in the comments, "I build from within." Your affirmation might illuminate someone else's path to authentic abundance. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because there's a profound distinction that separates those who merely dream from those who actually achieve. The choice between relying on motivation versus building discipline. We live in a culture obsessed with motivation, inspirational quotes, pump-up speeches, emotional triggers, designed to get you started. And while motivation certainly has its place, there's a hidden truth that most success gurus never mention. Motivation is merely the spark, while discipline is the sustained fire. Think about those moments when you feel deeply inspired after watching a video like this, reading a powerful book, or hearing someone's transformation story. That rush of possibility, that surge of energy, it feels incredible. But what happens 3 days later when the emotional high fades? What happens when you're tired, when the work becomes monotonous, when results aren't immediately visible? This is where the revelation occurs. Your future does not care about your feelings. It only responds to your actions. The mindset shift that changes everything is recognizing that waiting for motivation to strike before taking action is like waiting for the perfect weather before planting a garden. You might wait forever. Discipline, by contrast, moves forward regardless of emotional state. It doesn't ask, "Do I feel like it today?" It simply says, "This needs to be done, and I will do it." This distinction represents the dividing line between aspirational thinking and actual achievement. Every master, every champion, every truly successful individual you admire built their legacy on the foundation of disciplined action taken consistently, especially on days when they didn't feel inspired. They understood that the work doesn't care about your mood. The blank page doesn't care if you're feeling creative. The weights don't care if you're feeling energetic. The business plan doesn't care if you're feeling confident. Discipline is what bridges the gap between what you say you want and what you actually create. The journey of transformation requires honest acknowledgement that dreams, no matter how vivid, detailed, or deeply desired, remain in the realm of fantasy until discipline translates them into reality. You can have the most brilliant ideas, the strongest intentions, the clearest vision board, but without disciplined execution, none of it matters. Dreams are easy, they cost nothing. Execution is rare, it costs comfort. This isn't about perfection. Discipline doesn't mean flawless adherence to some impossible standard. It means consistently returning to the path even after you've strayed. It means showing up for yourself over and over, especially after failure. It means keeping promises to yourself when breaking them would be easier. Each of these decisions, these tiny moments of choosing discomfort over convenience, compounds into an unstoppable force. Behind the scenes of every overnight success is the unsexy reality of disciplined action taken day after day, often for years, without external recognition or reward. While motivation seeks the dopamine hit of immediate results, discipline builds the neural pathways that make consistency automatic rather than effortful. This is how ordinary people accomplish extraordinary things, not through sporadic bursts of inspiration, but through the quiet power of showing up daily. If you recognize that discipline, not just motivation, is the true engine of your future achievements, write in the comments, "Discipline is my foundation." Your declaration might be the first step toward building the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. The transformative power of discipline emerges not just in what it helps you accomplish, but in how it fundamentally reshapes your identity. Like a muscle that grows stronger through resistance, Discipline develops through repetition, particularly when that repetition occurs despite internal resistance. Every single time you follow through on a commitment when you don't feel like it, you're reinforcing neural pathways that define your self-concept. You're literally becoming someone different through these consistent choices. This revelation illuminates why discipline isn't punishment, as many mistakenly believe. Discipline is actually liberation, freedom from the tyranny of fleeting emotions, freedom from the chaos of inconsistency, freedom from the heavy weight of regret. When you build the capacity to direct your actions regardless of emotional state, you develop a profound form of self-sovereignty that few ever experience. Think about those mornings when your alarm rings and everything within you wants to hit snooze. In that micro moment of choice between comfort and commitment lies the battlefield where your future self is being forged. When you choose to rise despite the resistance, you're not just getting up earlier, you're becoming someone who honors their word to themselves. You're building a relationship of trust with your own consciousness. The ripple effects of these seemingly small decisions extend far beyond the immediate action. Each time you follow through, you deposit evidence into your internal account, evidence that you can rely on yourself, evidence that your word means something, evidence that you're becoming the person you aspire to be. This evidence accumulates silently, often imperceptibly, until one day you realize something profound has shifted in how you view yourself. This internal shift represents one of the most powerful revelations in the journey of personal mastery. Authentic confidence isn't built through affirmations, validation, or positive thinking, though these all have their place. True, unshakable confidence emerges from evidence. It comes from the accumulated proof that you do what you say you'll do, that you can withstand discomfort, that you can navigate challenges without collapsing. When you've consistently done the work, when you've written, when you didn't feel creative, trained, when your body was tired, showed up, when it would have been easier to quit, you no longer need to believe in yourself in some abstract, hopeful way. You know what you're capable of. You've proven it repeatedly through action. This evidence-based confidence carries a different quality than the confidence built on external validation. It doesn't fluctuate with opinions or outcomes. It remains steady because it's anchored in demonstrated capability rather than hope or praise. Behind the scenes of this transformation is the gradual rewriting of your internal narrative. The story shifts from, "I hope I can do this," to, "I've done harder things before." From, "I wish I were disciplined," to, "I am disciplined." This isn't semantic trickery, but a genuine evolution of self-perception based on accumulated evidence. You become the protagonist in your story rather than a spectator hoping for a favorable outcome. If you recognize this evolution happening within yourself, this shift from hoping to knowing, from external validation to internal evidence, write in the comments, "My actions are building my confidence." Your recognition of this process might inspire others to focus on creating evidence rather than seeking validation. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of transformation, the power of consistency over intensity. We live in a culture that celebrates dramatic gestures, explosive efforts, and radical changes. We're captivated by stories of overnight success, extreme makeovers, and revolutionary breakthroughs. Yet behind the scenes of lasting transformation lies a much quieter truth, one that doesn't sell as many tickets or generate as many clicks, but that actually works. The world is filled with motivated people who never truly change. They're caught in a perpetual cycle of starting fresh, every Monday, every first of the month, every new year, full of enthusiasm and intensity, but lacking the sustainable rhythm that builds momentum. They work out for 3 hours on day 1, write 15 pages on day 2, then burn out by day 5 and abandon the pursuit entirely, only to restart the cycle weeks later with equal intensity and identical results. This revelation fundamentally shifts how we approach change. You don't need more motivation. You need more discipline, specifically the discipline to show up consistently rather than sporadically. The unsexy truth is that small actions performed consistently over time create more substantial change than grand gestures performed occasionally. The person who writes 1 page daily for a year produces a book. The person who writes 20 pages in a single burst once a month produces nothing complete. Consistency creates compound interest in your development. Each small deposit of effort builds upon previous efforts, creating a momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. This isn't just philosophical wisdom, it's neurological reality. Your brain builds stronger neural pathways through repeated, consistent action rather than through occasional intensity. Your identity shifts through daily reinforcement, not through isolated experiences. This paradigm of consistency illuminates another profound dimension of personal mastery. Understanding that your energy is your greatest currency. Just as you wouldn't carelessly throw money away, yet most people unconsciously squander their energy daily, investing it in toxic relationships, meaningless distractions, emotional drama, and digital noise. Then they wonder why they feel perpetually drained, unfocused, and stuck in patterns of frustration. The journey of transformation requires honest assessment of your energy investments. Where are you spending this precious resource? Who and what are you allowing to access your energetic account? Every complaint session, every hour of mindless scrolling, every interaction with energy vampires represents a withdrawal from your creative capacity, your focus potential, and your transformative power. What makes this revelation particularly powerful is recognizing that energy, unlike money, cannot be saved. It can only be channeled. The question isn't whether you'll spend your energy, but how intentionally you'll direct it. When you begin treating your energy as your most valuable asset, you naturally become more discerning about where it flows. You start evaluating relationships, activities, and environments based on whether they amplify or diminish your energy. This mindset shift creates a cascade of positive changes as you redirect your energy from what depletes you to what fuels you, from what scatters your focus to what concentrates it, from what drains your spirit to what fills it. Your energy allocation literally determines what you can create, attract, and achieve. If you recognize the need to redirect your energy with greater intention, write in the comments, "My energy is sacred." This acknowledgement might be the first step toward treating your greatest resource with the reverence it deserves. The revelation that transforms how you view your daily life is understanding just how profoundly your environment shapes you in every moment. While we often focus on intentional self-improvement through habits and decisions, the truth is that your surroundings are constantly programming your subconscious mind, influencing your thoughts and shaping your energy, often without your awareness. Every conversation you participate in, every atmosphere you inhabit, even the colors and sounds that surround you, are literally restructuring your neural pathways and energetic state. This environmental programming works on multiple dimensions simultaneously. The physical spaces you occupy directly impact your cognitive functioning. A cluttered desk creates a cluttered mind because your brain is constantly processing the visual chaos even when you're not consciously focused on it. Your digital environment affects your attention capacity. Constant notifications fragment your focus even when your phone is face down. Your social environment shapes your beliefs about what's possible. The conversations happening around you become the internal dialogue happening within you. Think about how Differently you feel when you walk into a serene, organized space compared to a chaotic, cluttered one. Or how your energy shifts when you step from a noisy, artificial environment into natural surroundings. These aren't just momentary comfort preferences. They're profound shifts in your neurological and energetic state that affect your creativity, clarity, decision-making, and emotional resilience. The transformation journey requires honest assessment of all these environmental factors. Is your physical space supporting or undermining your focus? Is your digital landscape enhancing or fragmenting your attention? Is your social circle expanding or contracting your vision of what's possible? Once you recognize the immense power of your environment, you can begin intentionally designing it to support your growth rather than sabotage it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring perhaps the most influential aspect of your environment, the people you surround yourself with. We're naturally social creatures, constantly absorbing and mirroring the energy, beliefs, and behaviors of those around us. This social osmosis happens whether we're conscious of it or not. The mindsets of your 5 closest associations are literally being downloaded into your own consciousness through countless subtle interactions. The revelation that changes everything is recognizing that energy is contagious. Sit with winners, and you'll absorb their capacity for possibility thinking. Spend time with complainers, and you'll find yourself seeing problems everywhere. Associate with the disciplined, and their consistency will strengthen yours. Surround yourself with the distracted, and your own focus will fragment. This isn't metaphysical philosophy, it's neurological reality through the function of mirror neurons and social contagion. This understanding leads to a profound shift in how you approach relationships. Rather than connecting based solely on history, convenience, or surface-level compatibility, you begin selecting relationships based on energy exchange and growth alignment. You seek those who expand rather than shrink your thinking, who inspire rather than deplete your energy, who challenge rather than reinforce your limitations. Some will misinterpret this selective approach as arrogance or coldness, but protecting your peace isn't selfishness, it's wisdom. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot elevate others if you're being constantly drained. You cannot contribute your gifts if your energy is being continually siphoned by toxic connections. This boundary setting is an act of self-respect that ultimately benefits everyone, as it allows you to bring your best self to the relationships that truly matter. If you're ready to be more intentional about your environmental influences, write in the comments, "I choose my environment." Your declaration might inspire others to recognize the power of their surroundings in shaping their reality. This journey of transformation inevitably brings you to a challenging revelation. As you evolve, not everyone in your current circle will celebrate your growth. Some relationships that once felt supportive may begin to feel constraining. Some people who know the old you might resist or even resent the emergence of your new self. This resistance creates one of the most difficult crossroads in personal development. The moment when you must choose between honoring others' expectations and honoring your own evolution. What makes this juncture particularly painful is the guilt that often accompanies creating distance. You might worry about appearing arrogant, ungrateful, or disloyal. You might feel obligated to explain your shifts, defend your new boundaries, or justify your changing priorities. But here's the profound truth that liberates. You are not obligated to explain your growth to anyone who benefits from your stagnation. This isn't about dramatic confrontations or burning bridges. It's about quietly, respectfully creating the space you need to become who you're meant to be. Sometimes this means physical distance. Sometimes it means emotional boundaries. Sometimes it means limiting certain conversations or redirecting energy toward new connections. Whatever form it takes, this distance isn't disrespect, it's self-respect. It's the recognition that your life's purpose isn't to meet others' expectations, but to fulfill your own potential. Behind the scenes of every significant transformation are these invisible decisions, these quiet choices to step back from relationships that keep you small so you can step forward into your expansion. These aren't easy decisions, but they're necessary ones if genuine growth is your priority. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing perhaps the most surprising source of energy depletion in your life. While it's easy to blame external factors for our lack of progress, toxic people, challenging circumstances, limited resources, the hidden truth is that the biggest thief of your power often isn't other people at all. It's your own internal habits. The time you waste mindlessly scrolling through feeds designed to hijack your attention. The hours spent overthinking decisions that could be made in minutes. The mental energy consumed by focusing on problems beyond your control rather than solutions within your reach. These aren't innocent pastimes. They're systematic drains on your most precious resource, your focused attention. This revelation is simultaneously challenging and empowering. Challenging because it places responsibility squarely in your hands. Empowering because it puts the solution within your control. The ancient wisdom that energy flows where attention goes isn't just a poetic phrase. It's a fundamental law of consciousness. Whatever you consistently focus on expands in your experience, not because of some magical manifestation, but because your attention itself is creative power. When you focus on problems, you energize problems. When you focus on possibilities, you energize possibilities. When you direct your attention toward what's wrong, what's lacking, or what's threatening, you literally feed those realities with your life force. But when you redirect that same attention toward what's working, what's available, and what's emerging, you nourish entirely different outcomes. This understanding transforms how you approach each day. You become more intentional with your mental focus, recognizing that each thought is either feeding your growth or feeding your limitations. You become more discerning about your digital consumption, understanding that each minute of scrolling is either enriching your mind or depleting it. You become more conscious about your conversations, recognizing that each exchange is either expanding your vision or constraining it. If you're noticing how your own internal habits might be draining your creative power, write in the comments, "I guard my attention." This awareness might be the catalyst for reclaiming the energy that fuels your transformation. In a world that celebrates constant expression and vocal positioning, one of the most overlooked powers at your disposal is strategic silence. There exists a profound alchemy in knowing when to speak and when to remain quiet, when to engage and when to observe. This isn't about suppression or fear, it's about discernment and energy conservation. The revelation that transforms how you navigate both conflict and opportunity is recognizing that not every thought deserves expression, and not every battle deserves your energy. Look closely at those who possess genuine wisdom and influence. You'll notice they speak less, but say more. They don't feel compelled to voice every passing thought, react to every provocation, or insert themselves into every conversation. This selectivity isn't coincidental, it's intentional. They understand that words carry energy, and each expression is an investment of their personal power. By being more selective about when they deploy that energy, they ensure its maximum impact when they do choose to speak. This mindset shift creates a remarkable transformation in your daily experience. When you stop feeling obligated to express every opinion, defend against every slight, or participate in every debate, you reclaim vast reserves of mental and emotional energy. That conserved energy doesn't simply disappear, it gets redirected inward, where it transmutes into clarity of thought, confidence in action, and momentum toward your true priorities. The journey toward mastering silence begins with a simple question before speaking. Does this need to be said? By me? Right now? This filter eliminates a remarkable amount of unnecessary communication that would otherwise drain your energy without creating proportional value. It doesn't mean becoming passive or disconnected. It means becoming intentional and strategic with your expressions. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring perhaps the most consequential time frame in your entire day, one that sets the trajectory for everything that follows. If you want to reclaim your focus, transform your productivity, and protect your peace, there is no more powerful decision than treating the first hour of your day as sacred ground. Think about how most people begin their mornings, reaching for their phones before their feet touch the floor, immediately bombarding their consciousness with notifications, news, and noise. This seemingly innocent habit creates a profound neurological consequence. It programs your brain to begin in a reactive rather than proactive state, training your attention to be externally directed rather than internally guided. The revelation that changes everything is understanding that how you begin your day is how you live your day. Those first waking moments represent your mind at its most receptive, most impressionable state. The inputs you allow during this time aren't just passive consumption, they're active programming of your subconscious operating system for the hours ahead. When you protect your mornings, creating a sanctuary of stillness before the world's demands rush in, you establish a powerful foundation for everything that follows. Beginning with intentional silence, gratitude practice, or focused creation, rather than reactive consumption, changes not just how you feel, but how your brain functions throughout the day. You move from emergency mode to emergence mode, from scattered to centered. This morning ritual doesn't need to be elaborate to be effective. Even 15 minutes of protected space, free from devices, interruptions, and external voices, can anchor your energy in a completely different frequency. This isn't just about productivity, though it dramatically enhances it. It's about reclaiming authorship of your consciousness rather than surrendering it to whoever or whatever demands your attention. First, if you recognize the transformative potential of protecting your mornings, write in the comments, "My mornings are sacred." Your commitment to this boundary might be the catalyst for the most significant shift in your daily experience. Learning to create boundaries around your time and energy represents one of the most profound acts of self-respect on this transformation journey. In our hyper-connected world, the pressure to remain constantly available, responsive, and accommodating has never been greater. Yet this revelation changes everything. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're simultaneously saying no to something that matters more. This truth becomes particularly powerful when you consider the finite nature of your time and energy. You don't have unlimited capacity, despite what hustle culture might suggest. Each commitment, each obligation, each agreement represents an allocation of your life force. The calendar doesn't lie. Whatever occupies that space is receiving a piece of your life that you'll never get back. The mindset shift that liberates you from overcommitment begins with recognizing that you don't need to attend every event, answer every message, or please everyone who makes demands on your time. This isn't selfishness. It's stewardship. It's honoring the limited resource of your life energy by investing it intentionally rather than distributing it indiscriminately. What makes this boundary setting particularly challenging is the fear of disappointing others or appearing selfish. Yet reframing boundaries helps overcome this resistance. Boundaries aren't walls designed to keep people out. They're gates that you control with intention. They don't prevent connection. They ensure that when connection occurs, you're bringing your best self to it, rather than your depleted, resentful, overwhelmed self. The hidden power in learning to say no is how it transforms your yes. When you decline what doesn't align with your values and vision, your affirmative responses carry a different energy. They become full-bodied commitments rather than half-hearted obligations. This clarity creates a ripple effect throughout your entire life, bringing your external commitments into alignment with your internal priorities. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exposing perhaps the most insidious drain on personal power in modern life: the validation trap. We live in an unprecedented era where external approval has been gamified and quantified through likes, views, comments, and followers. This digital ecosystem has hijacked our ancient tribal need for belonging and transformed it into an addictive cycle of seeking validation from people we've never met. The revelation that changes everything is recognizing that every time you seek validation from others, you surrender your power to people who don't even know themselves. You hand the keys to your self-worth to strangers who are likely just as confused and insecure as anyone else. This exchange creates a dangerous dependency where your sense of value fluctuates with every notification and metric. This validation seeking becomes particularly problematic because it creates an insatiable hunger. No amount of external approval ever feels sufficient because it's attempting to fill an internal void that can only be addressed through self-acceptance and aligned action. Like a sugar rush, external validation provides a quick high followed by an inevitable crash that leaves you craving more. Behind the scenes of this validation trap is a profound truth. True confidence can never come from others' opinions of you. It emerges from your relationship with yourself, from keeping promises to yourself, from creating work that aligns with your values, from living according to your own standards rather than others' expectations. If you recognize how the validation trap has been affecting your life choices and peace of mind, write in the comments, "I validate myself." Your declaration might be the first step toward reclaiming the power you've been giving away to external approval. The fundamental shift in how you perceive yourself begins when you change the central question guiding your decisions. Most people unconsciously organize their lives around, "Do they like me?" a question that places their value in the hands of others. The transformation occurs when you replace that question with, "Do I respect myself?" This simple but profound reorientation changes everything about how you move through the world. Think about how differently you operate when self-respect, rather than external approval, becomes your North Star. You make decisions based on integrity rather than impression. You choose actions aligned with your values rather than others' expectations. You speak truth rather than convenience. You build a life that feels right from the inside rather than one that looks good from the outside. What makes external validation particularly dangerous is its addictive quality. Like sugar, it provides an immediate but temporary high. The dopamine hit of likes, compliments, or applause feels good in the moment, but quickly fades, leaving you empty and craving more. This creates a dependency that's never satisfied because the validation you receive today doesn't sustain you tomorrow. You need another hit and another, creating an endless cycle of seeking approval that never actually fills the void. Genuine self-worth, by contrast, isn't built on the shifting sands of others' opinions, but on the solid foundation of your relationship with yourself. It emerges from living in alignment with your deeper values, from creating rather than consuming, from conquering internal resistance rather than collecting external praise. This type of worth isn't dependent on outcomes or appearances. It's anchored in who you are becoming through the choices you make when no one is watching. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring a pivotal moment in every person's growth journey, a decision point that separates those who transform from those who remain stuck in patterns of limitation. There comes a moment when you must decide, will I continue waiting for someone to save me, or will I finally save myself? This decision represents perhaps the most profound shift in personal sovereignty. Most people spend years, sometimes decades, waiting, waiting for the perfect mentor, the right relationship, the ideal opportunity, the perfect conditions. This waiting becomes a comfortable form of abdication, a way of avoiding responsibility for your own evolution by placing it on something or someone external. The revelation that changes everything is recognizing that no one is coming to live your life for you. No one will fight your internal battles, overcome your specific challenges, or manifest your unique vision. The cavalry isn't on its way. This truth isn't meant to be discouraging but liberating. It returns the power of your life to the only person who can actually use it, you. Self-reliance isn't about isolation or rejecting support. It's about independence, the ability to stand firmly in your own sovereignty without collapsing when external validation or assistance isn't available. It's about developing the inner resources to navigate challenges, the self-trust to make decisions, and the resilience to adjust course when necessary. Not because you reject connection, but because you value authentic contribution. If you're feeling the weight of this realization about taking full ownership of your journey, write in the comments, "I am my own rescue." Your declaration might inspire others to claim their power rather than waiting for permission or salvation from outside themselves. In our culture of comfort and instant gratification, perhaps the most counterintuitive revelation on the journey of transformation is recognizing the profound purpose of pain in your development. Most people spend their entire lives running from discomfort, avoiding struggle, and labeling every challenge as unfair or unnecessary. They view pain as an enemy to be eliminated rather than a teacher to be understood. The paradigm shift that changes everything is seeing that pain isn't your adversary, it's your initiation. Every significant transformation in your life begins with discomfort. Every meaningful breakthrough emerges from struggle. Every evolution of your character is forged through resistance. This isn't poetic metaphor. It's biological reality. Just as a muscle must tear before it grows stronger, your psychological and spiritual development requires the productive tension of challenge. What makes this revelation particularly powerful is understanding that pain often signals growth, not injury. When you feel the discomfort of stepping beyond familiar limitations, when you experience the resistance of establishing new patterns, when you face the uncertainty of entering uncharted territory, these sensations aren't warnings to retreat, but invitations to expand. They're not punishments, they're prerequisites for your evolution. The journey of transformation requires honest reflection about your relationship with discomfort. Do you immediately seek to escape it? Do you interpret it as evidence that something is wrong? Or can you reframe that same sensation as confirmation that you're breaking through old boundaries and becoming someone new? This shift in perception doesn't make the pain disappear. It gives it meaning. It transforms suffering into purposeful development. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing the practical framework that underlies all sustained transformation. While we often celebrate dramatic breakthroughs and pivotal moments, the hidden truth is that lasting success isn't found in one big leap, but built quietly through daily acts of focus and execution. Most people spend their lives waiting for the perfect opportunity, the right moment, the magical alignment of circumstances, but life consistently rewards movement over contemplation. The revelation that changes everything is understanding that success follows a simple but demanding formula: focus, execute, evolve. This isn't a complicated system, but living it requires mastery of yourself. Focus represents your ability to identify what truly matters amid endless distraction. Execution is your capacity to translate intention into consistent action, regardless of mood or circumstance. Evolution is your willingness to reflect, adapt, and upgrade your approach based on results and feedback. What makes this framework so powerful is that it's cyclical rather than linear. Each element reinforces the others. The more you focus, the more effectively you execute. The more you execute, the more rapidly you evolve. The more you evolve, the more precisely you can focus. This creates an upward spiral of development where small, consistent actions compound into remarkable transformation. Behind the scenes of every overnight success is this hidden formula, applied not in sporadic bursts of motivation, but through unrelenting consistency. Focus deeply on what matters. Execute relentlessly despite resistance. Evolve endlessly based on results. This is how ordinary people accomplish extraordinary things, not through dramatic gestures, but through thousands of small, deliberate steps guided by clarity and purpose. If you recognize this pattern in your own journey of growth, write in the comments, "I embrace both pain and process." Your acknowledgement might illuminate the path for someone still seeking shortcuts rather than embracing the necessary elements of genuine transformation. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want to thank you for investing your time and attention, the most valuable currencies you possess, in this exploration of self-focus and inner development. The ideas we've shared from Neville Goddard aren't just concepts to understand, but invitations to practice, to embody, to live. If these words have resonated with something deeper in you, if you've felt that subtle internal shift that signals recognition of truth, I'd love to continue this conversation in the comments. Simply write, "I choose myself" first, to let me know you've journeyed all the way through, and share which part of this message spoke most directly to your current path. This channel exists to provide these moments of clarity and transformation. These reminders of truths you already know, but perhaps haven't been living. If you found value in today's message, consider subscribing so we can continue this exploration together. Each like you leave helps these ideas reach others who might be standing exactly where you once stood, needing precisely this perspective to move forward. Just to the right, you'll see a video that builds beautifully on what we've discussed today. It explores how to translate these internal shifts into tangible results in your external world. Click there now, and let's continue unpacking these transformative principles together. The journey of reclaiming your focus has only just begun.